Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Reynolds, and I am the Communications Specialist here at the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. And I would like to welcome you to today's edition of Webinar Wednesdays. Thanks for spending lunch with the EDC. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Marcal Graham from UMD, and he's going to talk to you about the subject, get the degree, get the job. All right, so this one's for job seekers, and we're very excited to have Dr. Graham with us today to bring us through a presentation about best job seeking practices and also how to use degrees and certifications to make yourself more qualified for jobs. So before we get completely started, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. First, turn up your volume all the way, very loud, so that you can hear Dr. Graham hear everything he has to say. And then second, please use the chat function on this YouTube video to ask any questions that you may have for Dr. Graham. He will get to the questions at the end of the presentation, but feel free to ask questions as you think of them. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to bring up Dr. Graham's presentation, and then we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Sounds great. All right. All right, so we have your presentation up now.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm just happy to be here, and thank you all. We're having this wonderful day in Maryland. It's kind of a summerish day in October.
Yeah, it's a little warm.
Yeah, I would say so. But I'm very happy to be here to talk to you all about how to change your life and how to help education be your vehicle for changing your life.
That's right.
So today we're going to discuss a couple concepts. The first one being this concept called MOVEME.
Okay.
And I know people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, when we talk about MOVEME, when it comes to education and opportunity, we're talking about motivation, openness, vision, exposure, mastery, and engagement. So that's a framework we use to help empower people. And so the title of it is very appropriate when we think about our next destination in life, when we're thinking about education, when we're thinking about opportunity in the workplace. We're thinking about our next destination and how it will move us.
Very powerful.
So first of all, a little bit about me. I'm Dr. Graham. I'm with the University of Maryland's Educational Opportunity Center. It is a TRIO program, which falls under the Academic Achievement Program's umbrella at the University of Maryland. We provide educational outreach and hands-on advising to residents in Prince George's County, Maryland. We target first-generation and low-income populations. What else do we do? We look at academic, personal, career counseling. We do that nonstop. We help individuals gain a better understanding of enrolling, completing financial aid applications, and admissions into programs of study. We build knowledge capital. It's a big thing, and prepare students for access to post-secondary educational options and educational training opportunities. In addition, continuation, we're community-based. We have almost 20 years of experience advising and assisting residents 19 years of age and over in Prince George's County who are interested in attending and are enrolling in post-secondary educational study. We provide extensive assistance completing the free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA, along with other tools for improving your financial literacy. In addition, we develop pathways for individuals to change their lives for positive educational and employment outcomes. So, what exactly do we need to think about? First of all, I want you all to think, recognize the importance and power in thinking, but also in terms of using questions as a source of direction in one's life. So I want you to have this visual in mind. If you're driving a car, riding a bus, or catching a flight, you more than likely have to make reservations ahead of time so that you arrive at your next destination with little or no problems. Hopefully a seamless undertaking. Conversely speaking, deciding to pursue at any level or to pursue employment is not as simple as it seems and requires much more of a GPS approach. How do you make determinations on the best direction? You must create a path that is paved with innovative questions. Thinking and reflection. One size does not fit all. So you need to start to think about, what questions should I ask myself when I'm thinking about certifications and going to college at any level? Before taking action, what must I consider? Are you being strategic in your thinking? Quote, changing tracks in a career is a form of innovation on a personal level and requires the same kind of rigorous inquiry that a business should undertake in pursuing a new direction or strategy. What's required is not just a one-time adaptation. More likely, we'll all have to adapt at a continually changing tracks as we move forward. Quote. So what does that mean? That means that we can't solve our problems by using the same thinking we used when we created them. That's what Albert Einstein said. So this concept around motivation, openness, vision, exposure, mastery, and engagement, also known as MOVEME, is a reflective model and self-assessment process that promotes a healthy mindset through personal, professional, and academic leadership development. This process promotes ongoing thinking and self-analysis in order to address challenges that may undermine growth and success. You must meet people where they are in life so that they recognize that they have currency to leverage such intangibles as time, thinking, attitude, energy, choices, leadership, while they're preparing for work or school. So this MOVEME concept, what are we talking about? We're talking about leveraging your intangibles. So when we speak of motivation, we're talking about being proactive, prioritizing, being prepared, being persistent, practicing, being intentional as opposed to being passive. Openness, I am comfortable in identifying my gaps, those gaps being goals, abilities, passions, and potential skills. Vision, my strategy and plan is impacted by what I see. Do I need to touch it in order to know that it is real? Exposure, the greater my connection to positive people, the greater my capacity to succeed. Who, what do I surround myself with? And mastery, there's no room for average outcomes or deliverables in school or the workplace. And last E, engagement. Again, micro experiences provide positive feedback. So in a nutshell, we're talking about, how do you move yourself? Is it simply about selecting a degree for eventual employment? No, it's not simply about that. Questions you need to ask yourself is, what is driving you down that path? Why do you want to pursue that? Why do you want to go in that direction? What moves you? What impedes you? Are you at a crossroads in your life? Where are you trying to go from an academic and career standpoint? Is it complementary or is it in conflict? What pieces of my life can I move? What are my short-term and long-term goals? So what are you asking yourself? What will move you to the next destination? What is your strategy? You must look inward in order to make changes externally. One thing that I want to mention is that every degree or certification you decide to pursue, and more importantly, finish, has value. There may be some employment sectors that may be deemed hotter than others at a particular moment, but it may not play to your strengths and passions. Unfortunately, we do not have a magic wand, but we do have a process, and that's called MOVEME. So I want you to also take into account something called SOAR, and that's called strengths, opportunity, aspirations, and results. So while you're asking yourself, hey, what are my strengths? At the same time, I want you to think about, what are the results of my strengths? So it's not simply about, I'm motivated, but we have to see some positive outcomes from what you're doing. So these are the kind of questions that you have to ask yourself when you're thinking about your job search or majoring in a particular area, any kind of certification. So it's all about asking a series of questions of yourself. So when we talk about MOVEME, what are we talking about as it pertains to getting that degree or being certified in a particular area? Being strategic in your thinking. So if we're looking at this concept around motivation and being open and having vision and exposure and mastery and engagement, it is a form of strategic thinking and coaching. We try to empower you to make leveraged decisions and choices. In order for you to be successful in this undertaking, you must be willing to reflect and ask yourself questions. I mean, how many people spend time reflecting, or are we just in the mode of doing? I just want to do. So we're, unfortunately, sometimes society encourages us to kind of think that we can get things done at a breakneck or overnight kind of speed. That doesn't necessarily work. So if we look at what Dr. Marquette states, then you must question your questions. That means making good choices, being efficient, looking inward, forward for motivational strength and representing change. So how many people actually question their questions? How many people feel comfortable doing that? You know, I would probably bet that not too many people do. But there lies the secret to your success. So this issue about questions, reflective questions driving your success, kind of might stand counterintuitive because we're saying, where are the answers at, Dr. Grant? But the answers are in the questions. Do you have insight into what is necessary for you to attend school at any level? So we need to break down that question and figure out what the answers are. So by asking a question, we're going to get the answer. Are you aware of any training programs that you're interested in? Certification needs? You know, what area? Do you understand how relevant community is and the reasoning behind getting a bachelor's degree? Why should I go to a area community college? Why should I look to be certified in a particular area? What will it take to move the needle when it comes to your personal, professional, and educational success? How much effort must I give to completing my associate's degree or expanding my job search in order to see movement? So these are the kind of series of questions that you have to ask yourself if you're trying to move the needle, if you're trying to move from one place to the next. It's not quite sexy, but it gets the job done, and it's a process. Before you know it, you turn around and you say, hey, I moved a couple spaces. I moved, you know, from last year to this year. You know, I've grown, you know, and then you have evidence to show your growth. So continuing on with the paradigm around asking yourself questions in order to improve in life. At the center of any movement is MOVEME. So when we're talking about any kind of internal movement of any sort, you have to be motivated. And when we're talking about motivation, we're not talking about, we're talking about when you're bored, when you're tired, maintaining that high level of motivation, being open, having vision, being able to see beyond where there's no path. That's what I do. I help to guide you every day down that pathway. And exposure. What are you around every day? Are you around positive people, positive things, negative things that undermine your growth potential? People who undermine your ability to think that you can succeed. And then mastery. At the end of the day, we want you to execute. The plan. What is that plan? What's that plan for going back to school? What's that plan for seeking employment? What's that plan for getting certified in a particular area? Remember, every area has value. So I can't sit here and tell you that, hey, if you major in IT, you're going to be a millionaire, or you're going to make X amount of dollars, especially if you're not passionate about it, and if you have low interest in it. So there's no rhyme or reason to that magic degree. Is what you make of it. Okay? So once again, motivation, openness, vision, exposure, mastery, engagement. How do you know when to pivot your thinking? What does pivot mean? In sports, you have to shift your way from one direction to the next. Our football fans, basketball fans know that. Sports fans know that, hey, sometimes if I go right, there's a pretty dangerous direction to go in. Maybe I need to go left, and that's the road of least resistance. Maybe I need to go that way. So you have to have vision understand the barriers that you're about to you may have to overcome. And also you need to make sure you're not going in a direction that undermines your motivation with regard to academic and employment. So how can you move without adequate research? So we all have to research the areas in which we're trying to go into. We all have to know, if I'm trying to get a degree in a specific area, that we have to do our homework. We have to be part of webinars like today. We have to go to libraries. We have to do library research. We have to go online. We have to listen to people, the experts. We need data. We need to know what's growing, what's not growing, what's an area that I'm interested in. How does that relate to, the job market, things of that nature, and also expertise. We have to go to people who seem to know what they're talking about in those specific professional fields. If I'm interested in marketing, then I need to talk. I need to get to know people who are in marketing. If I'm interested in communications, I need to know more about that. If I'm interested in music, start my own school or things of that nature, I need to talk to people who will help to push me in that direction. Okay, so yeah, you have to do your homework at every level. You have to ask questions, and this is about asking those probing questions that get you from point A to point B. What moves you, personally and professionally. Okay. And as I said, our questions drive our answers. What are my personal and professional drivers? What am I driven by? Is it just a high salary? What if I lose my job today? How do I relate? How do I overcome it? How do the puzzle pieces of my professional life fit together? Our search for our next educational destination or employment opportunity is more like a crossword puzzle, which means that the answers and opportunities are in front of you, but require a deep level of reflection and investigation. Are we ready to go down that pathway? Are we ready for that journey? I know we all want that job, or we want to be done with school yesterday, but learning is a lifelong process, and as we see, given the nature of the economy, we have to be willing to maybe go in a different direction or learn to transfer ideas and things of that nature, so we can maybe reinvent ourselves. So that's what this has been about. I want you to be the best you can be, and never forget the power of academic advice. As I tell people, when you go to a lawyer, you're asking for advice, but typically you have to pay for it. When you go to a doctor, you're asking for advice. You go into them with a specific ailment or issue, and you're expecting them to help you. Well, this is what we do every day at the University of Maryland's Education Opportunity Center. We help you through problems that you have when it comes to getting that degree, moving in a different direction, putting the pieces of your life together, getting certified in a particular area. We look at your full life, whether you have children, your spouses, whether you made 6 figures last year or no figures, or wherever you are, we meet you where you are. And this is something that we continue to do every day. And certainly this is what this webinar has been about. And hopefully this is just the beginning of many, many more that will help you down that pathway. So this is
I'm going to check and see if we have any questions. And if I don't see any questions, I actually have a few of my own that I've thought of throughout the presentation. Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions. However, I do have 1 or 2 of my own. So the first question, Dr. Graham, is this. So at the Educational Opportunity Center, you help people navigate what degrees and certifications they need to get certain jobs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have career coaches there, or people who are caseworkers and work specifically with people to figure that out?
Yes, we actually end up being caseworkers.
Okay.
So everybody on the staff is deemed a caseworker or educational specialist. We're always answering questions about different careers. We're always trying to examine your life and where you were and where you're trying to go. So we look at what you majored in school, what you've been doing with your life for past 10 years, 5 years, and we want you to talk about what you're passionate about.
Okay.
As opposed to just a job, we want to know, okay, where you want to work, but we want to know what your career goals are,
right,
and how you want to spend your life.
Okay. And what type of access to, I guess, potential financial aid or that's a huge barrier that a lot of folks face is, all right, I need this certification, I need this degree, I need this such and such. What type of access to leaping over those type of barriers do you guys have at the EOC?
Yeah, when we sit down with any person in particular, and we talk about financial literacy, we talk about FAFSA, we talk about grants and scholarships, we talk about salaries and what the person can provide versus what it will take for them to actually go to school.
Okay.
So we have a nice financial picture that's laid out, and what can be done financially by the person.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a blueprint we lay out, financial aid blueprint. And so we try to make it so it's possible for people to move from one destination to the next, whether it's going to school, how much will it cost? We look at all different alternatives and options, and weigh what makes the most practical sense. Okay. Because we want people to be successful.
Right. Now, speaking of success, I'm gonna catch you off guard a little here. Can you describe? You don't have to say a name, but can you describe a great success story that you've had with someone coming into the EOC and you helping them navigate the education, they're getting a degree or getting a certification, and where that person is now or what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first case that jumps into my mind is this one young man who I met down in, I was doing some outreach in District Heights at Spalding Library, and he's about 20 years old. He had gone to college, dropped out, and his grandmother was with him in the library, and she walked away from us, and the young man told me that he wanted to go back to school, but he didn't know how. And then he walked away from me. And then his grandma came to me and said, "Hey, I need you to help my grandson out. He's trying to go somewhere." And I said, "I'd love to help him out." And so it started a conversation that ended up with the young man going to enrolling in Prince George's Community College, and eventually transferring to the University of Maryland.
Wow.
And it's awesome because he had it in him. I just tried to bring the natural gifts that he already had to the forefront, and that's what we do. We lay out a plan. We meet people where they are, and to this day, this young man is an entrepreneur.
Wow.
He's doing wonderful things in the community, and he says, "Hey, Dr. Graham, thank you for introducing me to the MOVEME concept, because that kind of helped me to move from where I was, out of school, with limited direction, and realize that I needed an internal change in order to make a change externally."
Wow.
And those are his words.
Wow. So you actually have mentioned MOVEME a couple times, and I see this looks like a book over here. I want to show the book to our viewers. Give me 1 second. Let's stop sharing the screen and bring this book up. All right. So you have written a book called MOVE.Me, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So this is a book by Dr. Graham called MOVE.Me, Marcal Graham, EDD, education doctor.
Yes.
Right. All right. And how can folks get a copy of this book?
Certainly, they can go on BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com and actually purchase the book, or they can get in touch with me.
Awesome. And then lastly, how can someone get in contact with the EOC at the University of Maryland?
Definitely. We're actually located in Riverdale now. We have a new home.
Okay.
We're at 6811 Kenilworth Avenue in Riverdale, Maryland.
Okay.
They can 5933.
Awesome. So thank you again, Dr. Graham, for coming out and doing this webinar for us. And thank you to our viewers for having lunch with the EDC and listening to Dr. Graham. So share this video with your friends, anyone who hasn't had a chance to watch it. And Dr. Graham, I look forward to continuing to converse with you in the future about what you're doing over at the EOC at U of D. to empower people to get the degree, to get the job.
I appreciate it, and I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.